case.
Okay.
Because now in a civil court, someone has been found responsible for that death.
Right.
Well, they came back and said they got it right the first time by ruling it suicide.
Okay.
Adam wasn't questioned again.
Okay.
So Adam, he fought against this civil trial, but the judge ended up upholding the verdict, saying that Adam was responsible. But like I said, no criminal charges were brought against him.
I don't know how they're gonna squeeze $5 million out of a tugboat, man.
Well, they ended up settling with the Zahau family for $600,000.
Still don't know how they're gonna get that
No.
money unless he borrows it from his brother.
Yeah. But when I was watching the show, they brought in a polygraph expert,
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of explained all the different lines on the graph and what they mean and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the two questions that were asked about Rebecca,
Mm-hmm.
did you have an intent to harm her or were you involved with harming her? He shows the lines and how they spike up. And you can totally see a difference on the graph from other normal questions, completely baseline. But those two questions, he does jump up, his water levels jump up.
I wonder
Crazy
why
high.
it was deemed inconclusive then.
I don't know. He said, that expert on the show, he said, if these levels were half of what they were, I would consider this failed. But yeah, to this day, it's still ruled a suicide. It does not seem like a suicide to me at all.
How frustrating.
Yeah.
So can I just tell you my opinion?
Please.
So if I were to believe that this was a suicide, the things that would solidify my belief were, like I said, the menstruation blood in front of the door.
Mm-hmm.
I can even get behind her saying something like if she felt like the family was blaming her for Max's accident, and she felt like she did everything she could to revive him and it wasn't her fault. I could see her saying something like, in so many words, I tried, but do you even care about me?
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
And using third person, I agree that that's strange, but when someone's in a state of shock or psychosis or anything like that, who knows?
Yeah.
You
You're
can't.
right.
Now, I would also argue that it's a suicide by the lack of DNA.
Yes, that's one thing that
Because
bothered me.
if it was Adam or anyone that did it, it would have to there would be DNA on the rope, there would be DNA on the sweater that was around her mouth, on the things that tied her legs and her feet together. Mm-hmm. Oh, I said legs and feet. Legs and hands together. DNA on the paintbrush, DNA in the room. I mean, it would be everywhere.
Yeah.
On the knife, if she was sexually assaulted.
One thing I didn't bring up was that they did find a set of gardening gloves,
Mm-hmm.
but it was in like the living room, I think, on the coffee table. And then they found rubber gloves in a crawl space under the house. But I'm not sure if those were, I'm not sure those were tested for
See,
DNA
I don't
or
think we
anything.
have enough
No.
details to be able to definitively say what we think. Because another thing is that if we're going to say that this is murder, what the fuck? Like, so this man came into town and decided that he was going to do this elaborate murder that's going to look like suicide. And if you were going to stage someone's suicide, why the fuck would you write something cryptic like that on the door in third person?
Yeah.
So, and not only, I mean, like, if this was a murder, we're going to say that maybe he tried to knock her out, because that's the abrasions on her head.
Right.
He strangled her to death.
Uh-huh.
Took her clothes off.
Unless she was already
naked and painting at the door.
Yeah, that's weird.
And then he came in and knocked her out and did all this. And then I understand, like, if this is murder, I understand him tying it to the bed and not the railing, because the less time he's outside where people can see him, the better.
Right.
So maybe tie it to something inside.
Yeah.
But why, if she's already knocked out and you've already strangled her to death, why are you tying her hands and everything up?
Yeah.
If it was a suicide, I almost see tying your hands and feet and gagging yourself because you don't want
to be saved.
Yeah, well, you don't want to grab the rope yourself. You don't want to scream and someone hear you and come save you. Yeah, like you're trying to make sure that the action is complete.
Yeah, but once you start peeling back these layers, like the noose over her hair.
Yeah, that's strange to me.
That's not normal
Nope.
behavior.
And a woman committing suicide naked?
Yeah, that was brought up in that show a bunch. Like, there's no way a woman would, while menstruating,
Yeah. I
commit
mean, I don't
suicide
know the
naked.
statistics there, but I know that it's very rare for a woman to shoot themselves in the face.
Right.
I know that it's very rare for women to, like, if women die by suicide, a lot of the times it's pills because they don't
pills.
want to be found.
Right.
But naked? Unless, I mean, I don't know. Maybe she was, like, really, really proud of her body.
She was she was super into fitness.
So, I don't know.
But
that's still super
her
strange.
family said, she was raised with Christian beliefs, and her family says there's no way she would have done this naked to show everybody. And the show even went on to talk about her maybe trying to
stage it like he did it?
No, like commit suicide to bring honor back to her family because she felt so responsible for Max's accident.
Yeah, I don't believe that because
But
me,
that also flies in the face of that whole belief that they were trying to portray because she did it naked.
yeah, and not only that, but for me, it would be a handwritten, I am so sorry that I betrayed our...
Not some cryptic
yeah.
message.
Yeah. What a weird fucking case.
Very strange.
See, and I want to know Adam's background. Does he have a history of violence? Did he always hate her? Did he and Dina talk before this? Like, it feels like there needs to be, and maybe there was, but this needs to be hardcore investigated.
So the night before she died, Max's mother, Dina, showed up to the house and knocked on the door, but nobody answered. So she says she just left.
So she put herself at the scene of the crime?
Yes. But there's nothing that there's also videotape surveillance of her going in and out of the hospital the entire night.
Oh, okay.
So,
because this would take a long time to stage.
Yes.
This isn't like a 15-minute.
No.
Oops, she slipped and fell.
And listening to that Red Handed podcast, they said that they had a woman reenact tying herself up in all these different ways with the sweater over the mouth and everything, and it took like 30 minutes for her to get the whole thing situated.
Right.
Which is a long time to sit there and contemplate, I'm really doing this.
Right, and she wasn't
suicide.
On anything. She
no,
wasn't
nothing
even
in
drunk.
her system.
And the time it takes to paint the door.
Uh-huh.
And
she was naked?
That's fucking weird.
That's so strange. The family said that was not her handwriting, but
I don't know.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I think it'd be real hard if you
writing in all caps.
I mean, and I'm sure that there is handwriting analysis because the way you draw, I mean, paint in all caps is going to be similar to how you write in all caps. But I don't know. What a strange fucking case, Chance.
Yeah. Well, that's what I got.
Are you ready for my topic?
I'm so ready.
Okay, because I've been dying to talk to you about it like all week.
Well, let's go.
It's crazy.
Okay.
So basically, I'm going to cover two cases that are eerily similar, but they happened 157 years apart. But before I get into them, I want to talk to you about reincarnation.
All right.
Do you believe in reincarnation?
To be honest, yes, I do.
Okay. Why did you, to be honest, me?
I don't know.
Did you think I'd be upset with your answer?
I was worried.
Okay. Well, I don't really know what I believe in. It would not surprise me if it was real. It wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't.
Maybe that's my stance. I'm not 100% sure I believe in it, but it definitely wouldn't surprise me, and it makes sense.
Right. So I don't know if there's a technical term for what I'm about to say, but I saw someone call it reincarnation continuum.
Oh.
But when I Googled that, it didn't really come up with anything. And the problem is that reincarnation in general is called so many different things by different religions and psychologists and just different theorists and everything. They use like transmigration, samsara. Have you heard of these things?
I've heard of transmigration.
Well, I'm just going to call it reincarnation continuum. Again, don't know if that's really the term of it or if it means something else. But it's basically the theory that one is reincarnated only to live the same life over again.
Multiple times?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not necessarily identical, but with so many similarities that it's hard to kind of deny it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
One of the things that kind of goes into reincarnation continuum are the similarities between JFK and Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that whole
I've heard of
thing?
that. Yep.
Well, when that came out, it was such a big deal that it solidified reincarnation in the minds of a bunch of people. There were songs.
Just that right there?
Yeah, just
Okay.
that. There were songs written about it. They did DNA testing
Oh, wow.
on. I don't know how they got DNA from Abraham Lincoln, but I know that they did DNA testing to see if there was any link between them.
Okay.
And the list that we remember of all the similarities between them was not factual. Did you know that?
No, like the dates that coincided and stuff?
Some of it was
Okay.
correct and some of it wasn't.
Gotcha.
So I went ahead and fact checked and found all the things that were similar. So we
Okay.
could go over
Oh,
those
cool.
just for fun.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with my stories. But so Lincoln was elected into Congress in 1846 and Kennedy was 1946.
Uh-huh.
Both focused their platforms on civil rights. Both of their wives lost a child while living in the White House, which I think one of them died at like 11 and one died at like...
Yeah, first of all, we're talking about Abraham Lincoln times. So
Right.
you get a cold, you're dead.
Right.
And then we're talking about JFK's family.
Right, that's one that's kind of... It's
Everyone
true, but it's also kind of like... all right.
Yeah.
Both presidents were assassinated on a Friday from a gunshot wound to the head. Both their vice presidents that came into power after their deaths were Southerners named Johnson. Lincoln's VP was Andrew Johnson, born in 1808, and Kennedy's VP was Lyndon B. Johnson, born in 1908.
Maybe I'm related.
So, you're not really... You know how many Johnsons there are? That was like the only disappointing thing about marrying you, is what a shitty last name we got.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
It's so... Well, mine was Graham before, which is not very cool.
That's...
But man, there's a lot of Johnsons in this world. And this means nothing to me, but it's a fun little thing. But both of their names are comprised of 15 letters.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
I remember that one.
Yeah. So Lincoln was shot in Ford's Theater, and Kennedy was shot while riding in a Lincoln made by Ford.
Right.
That one was the creepiest one to me.
Yeah.
Both of their assassins were known by 3 names, John Wilkes Booth and Lee Harvey Oswald. And both Booth and Oswald died before they could go to trial.
Right.
There were other things, but they were kind of wrong. Like, both of them ran into a warehouse. That's not true. One of them went into, like, a feed barn.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, there's little things like that. Like,
Yeah. Not quite the same.
But that was because there were so many little things. People were like, holy shit, JFK was Abraham Lincoln, reincarnated, and had the same destiny.
Okay.
Reincarnation continuum.
All right.
Another example of it is the conspiracy theory that the actress Anne Hathaway is married to William Shakespeare reincarnated.
Okay.
Have you heard this one?
No.
There's not a lot to go off of, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. I wanted to do a Patreon episode about it for a conspirasode, but there's just not.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Well, the theory is that William Shakespeare, obviously the famous playwright from the 1600s, is now reincarnated into an actor named Adam Schulman.
Okay.
Both Adam and Shakespeare were born in April, which, who gives a shit? There's so many
was
people.
I.
Exactly.
And my middle name is William, so I'm Bill Shakespeare.
Okay. Well, both of them were married to a woman named Anne Hathaway.
Oh, that's different.
Yeah. So William Shakespeare's one and only wife was named Anne Hathaway, and she also kept her maiden name. She didn't go by Anne Shakespeare. Same as Anne Hathaway, the actress.
Uh-huh.
They had 2 kids. Anne Hathaway and Adam Schulman both have 2 kids. Well, Shakespeare had 3, but one of them died. Shakespeare also wrote letters to his wife that are found now and like kept as like national treasures.
Right.
They also have letters that Shakespeare wrote to his wife Anne Hathaway that said things like, "Life is too short to love you for just one lifetime, so I'll find you in the next."
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. And he said that since he was famous in his lifetime, the next lifetime she could be famous.
Ooh.
But the craziest part of all of it is how much this guy Adam Schulman looks like Shakespeare.
Oh my God.
Is that not crazy?
He really does. With
Yeah.
a narrow face.
Yeah. We'll put a picture up on social media. So, because of that, everyone thinks that I just also want to congratulate myself because I haven't talked about how much I hate Anne Hathaway yet.
You've done a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But
sorry, Anne, if you're listening.
I have heard that she's a fan.